Interstate 45. It is the shortest of the XO or X5 interstates. It connects downtown Houston with downtown Dallas, so it does serve an important corridor. Here we see the route of I-45 as it starts down in the Gulf Coast and ends in downtown Dallas. Texas is the king of the intrastate interstates, and this is its longest one. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about interstate highways and the places that they are assigned to go to. Please subscribe. I'd love for I-45 to get me up to 500 subscribers to start the new year or finish this year the right way. Thanks a lot. First, we're going to talk about Northbound I-45. We see this sign for Seawall Boulevard, which follows the sea, the beaches and all that, goes to the pier, and to Houston going straight here. And right after rounding that curve, we do see a Houston 50 sign. So we will skip through in-town traffic. And right here is where I-45 actually starts, going straight down that road that I just showed. We see right away, of course, it is 45 North Houston, totally sensible. 45 crosses the Galveston Causeway and heads into mainland Texas. Kind of interesting here with this old causeway next to it. My grandpa always used to talk about this. Seems kind of weird to make a new bridge so much higher than the old bridge, spend all that extra money on concrete, when obviously the shipping canal underneath is not going to change since the other one is pretty small. Now on the mainland side, we have an exit for Texas City, and not surprising, still 45 North Houston. We get our first mileage sign of this road, Houston 38 and Dallas 281. So we are getting the two main control cities right away instead of them signing some small town between Galveston and Houston. Here's the exit for the Sam Houston Tollway, a ring road around Houston. And here's a look at the stack interchange. Lots of cool giant stack interchanges in Texas, of course. I think this is the Houston style stack, and then Dallas has got its own cookie cutter stack that there's a number of that they use the same time. Here we meet 610, and wow, what a shocker. We actually get a control city on a 3-digit interstate in Texas. After passing 610, 45 is now signed for downtown, which makes sense. As we near downtown Houston, we have an exit for US 59 and I-69. Interesting that the US highway goes first on that sign because I-69 here is fairly new. 59 has been a freeway in Houston for a long, long time. Also, in this sign they mean Cleveland, Texas, but if you wanted to go to Cleveland, Ohio, this would be the correct way to go as well on 6959 here. 45 becomes pretty complicated as we go into downtown Houston with various HOV lanes and whatnot. Here we get a good view of downtown Houston on this little hill from the free lanes instead of having to use the HOV lanes here. And 45 goes right by downtown Texas. This is the Pierce Elevated section of I-45. As we leave downtown, we meet San Antonio, Beaumont, I-10, and 45 is now signed north for Dallas, which of course makes sense. And here we meet 610 with no control city, of course, and 45 north for Dallas. Finding mileage signs in Texas is always a pain, finding them on Street View because of the frontage road and the frequent slip ramps and that kind of thing. It makes it really hard to find these things. So this is the only one I'm showing you on northbound I-45, Centerville, Dallas. But I imagine they're all going to be pretty much the same. It's all going to be some city that at least me has never heard of, and then Dallas. Here we meet US 287, which goes to Fort Worth, the way around without having to go through Dallas to get to Fort Worth. And now we meet I-20 for Shreveport and Fort Worth. This is going to be one of the Dallas-style cookie cutter stacks. This is obviously not downtown Dallas yet, but we are assigned 45 North McKinney, which I don't agree with at all. This should still just say Dallas. Here we get a pretty good view of downtown Dallas, and there's a lot of weird stuff on I-45 in downtown Dallas. So we've got I-30 exit only, no control cities whatsoever. 45 ends, and we get North 75 McKinney. This actually is becoming I-345, but that road is unsigned. It's a short freeway through downtown Dallas, but there's no signage for it. 75 should either be signed for Plano, because that is a larger and more famous place than McKinney. Both are just suburbs of Dallas, so it's not like they're independent cities, they're suburbs. So sign it for Plano because it's bigger and it's closer and it's more famous. Or sign it for Tulsa. We stick with McKinney here, of course, and we see 30 exit only, no control cities. And as you can see when we pass by here, there are still no control cities for 30 for west or east. So very strange. I don't know why we don't have the Fort Worth and Texarkana there. It's like Minneapolis or something. We get another good view of downtown Dallas on this US 75/I-345 freeway. And still US 75 North McKinney, and we are approaching the 235E. This isn't actually 35E. This is the Woodall-Rogers freeway that takes you to 35E. And you see the signs, the exits are still I-45 sign. 286 is 45 mileage, not US 75. This will be the last exit of I-345. After that, it's just US 75, so I'm stopping here. And we will look at Southbound I-45. So I'm going to start right here because this is we're meeting the Woodall-Rogers. We're 35E, and this is exit 1A on US 75. US 75 mileage, 3/4 of a mile. But then Ross Avenue, 1 mile, 1/4 mile down, exit 285, because then we are going with I-45 mileage. So really weird how they do this. After passing that exit, we are now signed for 45 South Houston, although this isn't actually I-45 yet. Like I said, it's 345 and US 75. Here's a nice view of downtown Dallas, and we see 45 South Houston, 30 with no control cities once again, and another lovely view of downtown Dallas. Some great downtowns in this road. Dallas and Houston, definitely the best skylines in Texas, and probably 2 of the top 10 in the US. Now finally we see US 75 ends, and now we're on 45 South Houston, although it was always signed for 45 South Houston. Honestly, I think the solution to this, instead of having this unsigned 345 and having this weird 75 thing, just end I-45 at the Woodall-Rogers and have US 75 go north from there. Seems to make much more sense than the way they do it. Now we're coming out to I-20 again, same control cities as before. Still no pull through for I-45, just like before. Here is the one obligatory mileage sign on 45 South that I will show you. And now we are in suburban Houston. This is Houston's 3rd outer ring road, which is unbelievable. Houston's got that many outer rings. This is coming toward the Hardy Toll Road, and we'll see the next one, and the Grand Parkway. So the way those work together, it ends up being East and West Grand Parkway between those 2 exits. Here is the 2nd ring loop, the San Houston Tollway, which we have seen before. Now we are assigned for 45 South downtown, just like when we were going north when we reached 610. The sign changes from Houston to downtown, which I agree with. Now we meet I-10. A lot going on in this sign, quite a lot going on here. 10 West, 10 East, 45, 10 West again, 45 Express. I apologize about the quality of this picture. I tried to find a better one on Street View, but was not able to. But this is kind of cool because we have 45 South and 10 East side by side for a brief period of time, right next to each other. And you see the exit on 10 for 45, and you see the exit on 45 for 10, all right there. Here's another look at the Houston skyline as we cruise downtown. Again, the skyline views are really the highlight of I-45, so that's why I'm featuring them quite a bit in this video. Now we're on 45 South Galveston, which definitely makes sense. Here's another look at downtown Houston, a little further south. Now we meet I-69 once again. I really hope once I-69 is extended that they fix these control cities. These are the old US 59 control cities that have been there forever, but Cleveland and Victoria are, Victoria maybe, but you can still do better than Victoria, I think. And Cleveland is a suburb, so they've got to change the northbound I-69 control city once I-69 is more complete. 45 South Galveston and Hobby Airport, and oh my! On 610 we have control cities in both directions. This might be the only case of that anywhere in Texas. Texas never does this. Or maybe they're low-key signing the Texas highway routes here. Here's the exit for NASA, the Houston Space Center. So that's pretty awesome. NASA Highway 1. I've only been to Houston one time, and I did plan to try to come down here, but this is way out of town, and it was also the opposite direction of where I was going. So I opted instead to go to the Alabama Ice House in downtown Houston for beers and tacos, and I think I made the right choice. Now we continue down 45 South for Galveston, and another sign for 45 South with the Texas City exit. I want to move to this place, Village of Tiki Island. That sounds amazing. Here's another look at the causeway going out to the island of Galveston. And we come into Galveston. We see the two Galveston signs as we follow the I-45 Gulf Freeway, which, by the way, is the oldest freeway in Texas, I believe. And now we get 45 South Galveston, even though we are already in Galveston now. But the next sign, we get 45 South Downtown and East Beach, since we are within Galveston. But there's not much more 45 to go. And now we see there is no 45 shield. We only get the control cities of downtown and East Beach, and freeway ends 1/2 mile. And here it is, the very end. There's no N45 sign though. All right, let's look at Todd's the way it should be for I-45. I think they pretty much have it the way it should be. North Houston, Dallas. I just get rid of McKinney though, no McKinney. Just have it be Dallas all the way to the Woodall-Rogers, and then come up with a new control city for US 75. And for Southbound 45, Houston and Galveston. Thank you for watching Control City Freak. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, all the stuff. Tell your friends, shoot for 500 by 2022. Woo! Thanks a lot, everybody. My name is Todd, and keep on trucking.